each question. First question, Joe, you're going to go ahead and start it off. List one unique qualification as to why you should be LNC chair.
I won't be learning on the job. So I was CEO of a nonprofit organization for about 12 years. I've served on a number of different boards, including the Students for Alumni Board, which I chaired. I'm serve on some boards now. So my day-to-day all the time is evaluating employees. It's setting goals. It's facilitating discussions to come up with strategic plans. It's fundraising. So at the organization that I was COO of, when I took over COO, we were at $1.5 million a year, which incidentally is where we're at the LNC. And in a couple of years, we managed to get it up to $5.5 million. Grow the staff, grow the impact. So this isn't theoretical for me. This isn't the first time I'm ever going to have to do this. I know how to get these things done. And it's the job of the chair is to facilitate the decisions necessary to do that. And both of those words are important. You've got to be able to read the room and pull people together towards a common purpose and common goals. And you've got to make sure that the decisions actually happen.
Mr. Smith.
So I agree with Joe that the nuts and bolts of this organization are very, very important, and it's something that anybody on our board has had the time to learn. For me, I believe I have an inspirational quality, and I think I've proven that over the last 2 years, that I can get people involved with this party. I think that's where I'm unique and stand out, and I believe that the chair needs to be an inspirational figure that brings activists to our causes, gets people involved around the country. Those people become candidates. They become campaign managers. They become volunteers, treasurers, leadership in the party. And that's where I stand out. I stand out at getting people involved with our causes at the state and local level and also national. Thank you.
Mr. Shipley.
Thank you. So the question is about what are my unique qualifications, and the tendency or the temptation here, right, is to start flashing some top-down, macho flash of, what kind of CEO experience I have and things like that. So I have those things I built, outright from a nearly bankrupt organization to one of the most powerful caucuses in this party. But I'm not going to really appeal to that because the question is what is unique, and just baseline fundamental being able to navigate professional spaces is just common sense. What's unique about me is that I'm a survivor of addiction and homelessness. I have a compelling personal story and a triumph, an underdog story that is actually compelling and interesting. But more than that, in order to recover from that hopeless state, I had to engage with recovery spaces. And what I discovered there, and this is important kind of to building up our political narrative, right? We have to build up the systems of a world set free at the same time that we're dismantling these. So I always encourage everyone to do some mutual aid work. And mine is in the addiction recovery space where...
Time.
Finish your time.
Next question. Josh, you're going to start us off. What is one quality of each of your opponents that may disqualify them from being chair?
That's a tough question there, Mr. Pickens. I don't think that anybody on this stage has any huge disqualifying characters. I think that everybody on the stage has at least one or two or three great qualities that make them qualified to be chaired. Joe's great at the nuts and bolts of things. Mike's an inspirational guy that's had a crazy story that he's persevered through and shown that he can also recruit and bring members to the party. And I don't see a huge disqualifying red flag for either of them. Thank you.
Mr. Shipley.
I think I would show myself inherently unqualified if I fell into the trap of attacking people who I want to be chair for. So I'm going to take the other minute and 45 seconds to finish my story. So the thing about addicts is that they have a lot in common with libertarians and people who are about to have a political awakening of their own. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they don't know why or what the way out looks like. And that's more true of people about to have their political awakening than you all are kind of awake now, right? You have hope now in this thing that gives you. But the point is, so those spaces are built, here's where I'm going with it, in a bottom-up fashion. And we don't have many examples of bottom-up empowerment in society. Everything else operates by top-down logic, right? So speaking of learning as we go, I've been learning for almost 10 years now, not only in this space, but in recovery spaces, how to operate among people that don't want to be told what to do and will inherently distrust you if you try. So learning to facilitate and sort of inspire from the bottom up is not a skill they teach in college. It's something that you have to learn by operating in bottom up spaces. And I've been doing that for years. I have somehow managed to inspire a complete bottom unity transformation that is driving the conversation in this party.
Thank you, Mr. Shipley.
So, thank you, Mr. Pickens.
Joe?
Both Josh and Mike are energetic spokespeople for the party. I happen to disagree with them on the future direction and where we should be putting the emphasis. A membership-based fundraising strategy, which I think has a strong risk to bankrupt the organization versus a major gift fundraising strategy, or the role of the chair to make sure decisions are facilitated and happen. Those are disagreements, not disqualifying factors. So I'd agree with both of them that, we're not disqualified. It's up to you to decide which vision you want to go with, but there's nothing like that. The next chair is going to have to represent all libertarians. Ron Paul libertarians, civil libertarians, and everything in between. So, I think everybody deserves to be on this stage, and it'll be up to you to decide where you want to go take the party.
Last weekend at the California convention, you were all asked a question on whether or not you knew what a balance sheet was. The question we have today is, what's more important for a chairman, understanding a balance sheet or understanding how to increase gross revenue on a balance sheet? And Mike, we're going to start with you.
All right, so first of all, I think there's a very offensive and paternalistic premise contained in the idea that there are people in the world who don't understand how to make their numbers add up when so many of us live paycheck to paycheck. A balance sheet is just practically like your checkbook. Obviously, it's more money and there's more line items, but essentially it's just, how much is coming in, how much is going out, and are you operating in the red or the black, right? So being able to read the balance sheet is so basic that I'm going to appeal to the division of labor here, right? Grassroots people who don't come from money, wealthy donors often won't even talk to us. So the reality is, no one's going to pay you to dismantle the system that is benefiting them and harming you. So for all I know, I might have a talent for landing big donors. I haven't had that opportunity. But I will tell you that when there are 20 people on a board and everyone has different talents, people there can do that. So bringing in the revenue is just as important, but it doesn't all fall on the single leader. Does that make sense? It makes sense. I know it makes sense.
Joe?
I actually agree with Mike on this. Gross revenue versus balance sheet. Actually, what matters is net revenue. Are you bringing in more money than you're spending? Which, incidentally, we weren't doing at the LNC level for a while there. We are now, because there are lots of things you can do as an organization to grow gross revenues, but you're spending more than it takes to bring that money in, and you're putting the organization in a worse position. And greatly expanding membership is a danger area on that, because if you divide it out, if we bring in $25 a year in dues, but it costs the organization about $100 per person, per member to be able to run. So unless you're bringing in major gifts and project fundraising and other things, a purely membership-based fundraising strategy can create a lot of problems. And I've seen plenty of organizations go that direct mail route. As old-timers know about Project Archimedes, we flirted with that danger before. So what really matters is net revenue. Are you making decisions where you're bringing in more revenue than you're able to spend? And with major gift donors, the important thing is to be able to present to them a vision and the capability to do results. And you'll get plenty of resources if you're able to do that. And, you know, I think we could get a lot of people helping with fundraising on that.
Josh?
Revenue growth, and it's not even close. One of my first donors that I brought to the party after I became an at-large representative was a $2,500 a month donor. That's huge. That's almost the max yearly donation, or very close. I think a couple $100 off. I do have a penchant for seeking out big donors and getting big donors to come to the party, but the treasurer handles those balance sheets. The chair presents them. You help build the budget with the treasurer, but then the board has to approve the budget. So that balance sheet is really important, but I want a treasurer that stays up all night having bad dreams because there's so much revenue coming into this party that they just can't sleep. And so for me, revenue growth is at the very top of what I think the Libertarian National Chair should be focused on. And so it's very, very important to us. Thank you.
Being on the LNC, each LNC member gets a unique link where they can recruit members to the organization, and they can count those members as recruited to them. How many people have you recruited through your LNC membership link? And we'll start with you, Joe.
Sorry, me?
Yes.
I never set it up. I just send people to lp.org/join. I guess it's probably around 200 people. Beyond that, I've helped fundraise about $100,000 for LNC projects over my 2-year term so far, and I've personally given about over $10,000 to the party and more to local candidates all across the country. I worked on the LNC to try to get a give or get requirement in for our board members so that we actually have a stake in the game. We didn't pass it, but the LNC as a whole, I think, put in about $40,000 or $50,000 out of their own pocket. Somebody wanted me to remind everybody, the LNC chair and your board members are not paid. We are all volunteers. You know, if you're ever mad at us, just threaten to cut our pay.
Josh? Could you repeat the question one time for me?
How many people have you recruited through your LNC membership link?
The last time I checked, it was well over 200. You know, I'm the #1 recruiter on the LNC currently. I've also brought in and helped bring in huge names that have brought in, you know, thousands of more members as well. People like Tom Woods and Scott Horton and Dave Smith and Buck Johnson from Death to Tyrants podcast and Pete Raymond from Free Man Beyond the Wall. And they all have their own affiliate links now and can track their progress as well. But I'm a membership builder. That's what I do. And I've sent more than 1,000 people across the country to their local and state affiliates. Those people have become leadership in the party. Some of them have become candidates. That's one of my biggest focuses. And I don't think anybody else on the LNC currently can beat me in that aspect. So.
Jess Mears. Jess Mears is our #1.
LNC. I said that.
She's an LNC staffer.
On the LNC board. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
So I'm not on the LNC. I don't have one of their links, but they do offer a referral program now. And so I discovered as a content creator about a month ago that I could get one of those. In the month that I've had one, 10 people have signed up for it. So, you know, if that rate continues.
Good job, Mike.
I do want to say that as a founder of the Povertarians, one of the things we worked on was having the party actually publish its free membership link. So for a long time, you could only join as a paid member, and the free membership option was just buried. Those people get converted. I ended up joining as a life member, so those free memberships can pay off. And when we post that free membership link, Robert Krause has reached out to me more than once and said, oh my gosh, did you post that link? Because we're getting flooded with free memberships. That has happened more than one time. So I guess I don't have any way of counting those people, and I definitely rely on everyone else to keep being the awesome libertarians that you are, so that the new members we're surrounded by eventually convert to paid members. But I also kind of believe in the dignity of people who aren't paid members, and their political voices matter too.
What is your plan on gaining earned media as National Party Chairman? Josh.
I ran on a platform of aggressive media, and in 2018, I talked about building a media hit squad, is what I called it. Everyone told me, that's a little aggressive. Maybe you should tone that down, and they might have been right. So this year, we're calling it the Regional Media Team, and it's a team that I've already started working on building. I have Larry Sharp committed, a couple of really great libertarians in Southern California as well. I'm going to have a aggressive media person in all regions. Those people will continually be looking for us media opportunities, and those people will be able to take those media opportunities on behalf of the Libertarian Party. So it's not always incumbent on the chair to do all the media appearances and stuff, because sometimes those localized media people can get it better in their own communities. And so I think that building a media team that's constantly looking for media for us and can take the media on behalf of the party is one of the most important things we can do as a party, and something we probably should have done a long time ago.
And Joe.
I wish having the best ideas was all it took to get tons of media coverage, but we all know that that's not true. Reporters have their biases, and the news cycle has its biases as well. I've been interviewed over 1,000 times over the course of my career. I've been on CNN, and I've been on Fox. I've done Washington Journal on C-SPAN, done local media, and this is how you get earned media. You develop newsworthy hooks to get reporters and producers to cover you and invite you back, and you develop relationships with those people so that you become a trustworthy source to be able to get feedback and get input on the stories they're writing. So, every day I'm talking to reporters, every day I'm appearing in stories, and that's what we'll continue to build for the organization. I want to work with affiliates and work with candidates to develop interesting hooks to be able to get covered. When I ran for office with my husband in D.C., we had to strategize. How do we get into coverage? And we realized that our entire DC LP ticket was all LGBT.
Time.
We didn't intend to do it. It kind of happened that way. But we put that out there, and we got tons of local coverage for it, and lots more votes. And that's what matters, votes, and getting people elected.
Okay, Joe, we're going to start this next one with you.
I
Hypothetical
didn't get the
situation.
answer
You
yet.
started the last one.
Oh,
And Mike
Mike
hasn't
hasn't
gone yet.
spoken.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll start with Mike. Sorry about that. Hypothetical situation.
Well, I didn't answer
Mike
the
didn't
earned
answer the
media
last one.
question.
Sorry.
So I call this the AOC effect. The media latched onto her literally because a working class person gained a position of power, and she has a platform now that they can't look away from. I have that kind of credibility. I'm really good at weaving my personal story into my political narrative, and I can speak to issues like the drug war in a way that very few other people can. So I have this fantasy that may or may not come true, but I literally want Ellen to get me on that couch and humanize the face of this party in a new way and take advantage of the chance to make a new first impression. And those kinds of things, they snowball. The other thing I'm really good at is making bold political claims and making them sound reasonable, like grabbing the narrative of sex workers, migrants, gender and sexual minorities, issues that haven't always been at the forefront of our narrative, but are actually really compelling to a population that's really discovering just how oppressive the society they live in always has been. So I can't predict how that's all going to snowball, but I promise you I'm perfectly positioned to do that.
Okay, Joe, we'll start off the next question with you. Hypothetical situation, which is very realistic. Day after the Austin LNC convention, we've chosen our presidential nominee. We've chosen our chair. You have an opportunity to pitch our presidential candidate for 1 minute on CNN. What do you say?
Pitch of the presidential candidate on CNN. Well, America, you have your choices. They're between Bernie and Trump. And, sorry, who's our candidate? Candidate X, I guess?
Yeah, I'm not.
Mark Whitney. No, we'll see.
Sorry, Pickens.
Out of order.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joe. Restart.
All right.
Here we go.
All right, America, you have your choices now. They're Bernie, they're Trump, and they're Candidate X. If you want to do something about $3 billion being added to the national debt every day, if you want to do something about 4,500 Americans being arrested for nonviolent drug offenses every day, if you want to do something about 20 veteran suicides a day, there's only one choice that you have, and that's the Libertarian nominee. And then, you know, so when you're on TV, you basically have time for one talking point, and the second talking point, and then if you're lucky, a third talking point. So you work through that, and make sure that you're on camera there and looking straight in, and that you're sitting on the back of your coat so it looks perfect and everything. But that's what I would pitch, and we'd make sure that all of our different people who can speak on it all over the country can give those talking points as well. But honestly, it's looking like it's going to be Trump and Bernie right now, and that's an incredible moment of opportunity for us to reach people who are being left behind by where they thought they had a political home. So I'm excited about the opportunity.
Mike?
So I suppose it depends who the nominee is, because it looks like Vermin Supreme is a front runner right now, and I think that if anybody can sort of take advantage of that eventuality, it would be me. So I'm just going to kind of look America in the eye and be like, you are right to observe that something is very, very wrong. And if your instinct is to understand that the people, the mainstream political establishment are presenting to you to solve those problems are inherently incapable of solving them, you are also right. I invite you to find out where our candidate is visiting your city soon and come out to hear them speak, because the people suffering the most are you, and you have the most to gain from a world set free.
And Josh.
Well, America, you finally have your anti-war candidate. No claps? Nobody? If you, like me, as a millennial, have spent your entire life watching America fight wars we shouldn't be a part of, you have your chance to end them now. Please vote Libertarian.
Final question, and we'll start with Josh. I believe, as I said earlier, that the role of national chair is the most important role of the organization. I also believe it should be a full-time position. Are you in a position in your life to be a full-time chair? And if not, how many hours a week can you dedicate to this important role?
Thank you. The short answer is yes, I am in a position now to be a full-time chair. In 2018, when I was running, I actually quit a full-time day job and started doing my own side business, so that had I won chair, I had the opportunity to set my own schedule there. But this year, we have enough followers where I believe we can have outside funded national chairman that can work full-time for the party on, donors that are donating $5 a month to a Patreon. I wouldn't go out of my way to try and ram through a motion to pay myself $75 an hour to fundraise for the party on the LNC on the donor's dime. I would do that completely outside funding on my own. Thank you.
Mike?
Yes, I already do activism full-time, and I will continue to do so after Austin.
And Joe?
So many of you put in way more than just nights and weekends into this party. I've yet to meet a libertarian that does not pour tons of hard work, time, and energy into making a world set free in our lifetime, and you deserve nothing less from your chair as well. Every day, I do have a full-time job, but every day I'm talking with our staff or contractors, helping them overcome an obstacle that they've encountered or work through a problem. We've got a Maryland petition drive going right now. We need to get 50,000 signatures to keep Maryland ballot access. We took the petitioners out for a drink before they go back out into the cold for the 20-degree weather, gathering signatures hour after hour after hour. It's a great thing about being located in Washington, D.C., is that I'm just down the street from headquarters. I walk right past CNN on the way in. I'm next door to Fox News and C-SPAN, where my office is. We're able to solve a lot of problems pretty fast in person rather than waiting for the next LNC meeting.
Time.
So, yes, full time.
All right, closing statements. We'll go ahead and start with you, Mike.
Thank you. So I'd like to appeal to you again that we are in a political moment where this party has a chance to make a new first impression with the public. There are a lot of negative stereotypes about us out there. There's a lot of negative stereotypes about me out there. One of those is that I'm combative, and I'd like to suggest to you that my job as chair of Outright Libertarians was to identify how we were falling short in reaching gender and sexual minority people. And when I discovered that an internal transformation could really help with that, succeeding at that job called me to speak to internal circumstances, right? So if anybody here felt inadvertently personally attacked, I am truly sorry for being good at my job. But what I would love to be able to do is that same excellence on your behalf toward the political establishment. And I'm actually really excited to see what that looks like, and I hope you are too.
Joe?
Imagine if you're a state chair and you don't have to reinvent the wheel, as so many of our state chairs have to do on so many things. Imagine if you got affiliate in a box or state convention in a box, ready-made resources that you can use on a day-to-day basis. Imagine if you're a candidate and you had a phone book of volunteers ready to door knock and phone bank for you. Imagine if you had the tools like our CBCRM and eCanvasser and new tools even beyond that that allow you to get out the vote and reach voters. Imagine if we had even more campaign training than we do now, helping you figure out messaging and say the right thing to get the most votes and get people elected. Imagine if we had a national party focused on building those tools and resources to get people elected, building up the farm team and getting results, actual policy results for the Libertarian Party. Imagine if not only do we retain 50 state ballot access, but we work to grow the full party access in as many states as possible through a combination of legislative and litigation work. And imagine if we have a national chair who works to set a good example for a positive culture of growth and building in the organization. So, my name is Joe Bishop Henchman. I'm running for chair to help you build our party to win.
And Josh.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you to my competitors for being here. Look, in 2018, colleagues, absolutely. Look, in 2018, I ran on.
We're not the enemy. You know who the enemy.
Fair. You're messing up my closing statement, Joe.
Right.
In 2018, I ran on a platform of promises and dreams. I said that I could accomplish these things. I said I'd been laying the blueprint, but I had nothing to show for it. In 2020, I have the opportunity to show the successes that platform has grown for this party. We've already been working on building the affiliate in the box with the affiliate support committee. We ran the LP everywhere, and it's been extremely successful. I've been working on building the media team. We've sat down and started making focused messaging goals. I've increased our membership a huge amount. I've already started doing this work, and it's already showing to be successful. So in 2020, I hope that the Libertarian Party of Florida will give me the platform to do that on a much grander scale. Thank you guys so much.
Running for national chair is not an easy task. Let's give these guys a round of applause for stepping up. And thank you all for getting up early and joining us this morning.
Thanks, buddy.